The wind carved across the Wyoming plains that morning like a blade, sweeping frost and grit over the ground in warning. It was the kind of cold that didn't just bite, it burrowed deep past the denim and leather into the bones. But Samuel Hayes had known colder. He'd lived through war, hunger, loss, things that froze a man from the inside out. So when the wind howled like a wounded ghost, he didn't flinch, just pulled his coat tighter, lowered the brim of his hat, and kept walking. Sundays were for fence lines. No company, no urgency. Just Sam, his old quarter-horse boon, and a lukewarm thermos of coffee. About 2 miles north of the house, past a stand of cedar, Sam spotted something odd. A dark lump near a boundary post. Maybe a feed sack, maybe something dead. As he rode closer, Boone stopped cold. Ears pinned, nostrils flared.
Sam squinted.
It wasn't a sack. It was a boy, tied to the fence like an animal. Rough rope had bound his wrists high above his head, skin raw and bleeding. His knees sagged, his head hung. A torn shirt clung to a bruised, narrow frame, and bare feet pressed into the frozen dirt. Sam dismounted without a word. The boy flinched when he touched him, just a tremor. He was barely conscious, lips split, cheeks swollen, bruises old and new, layered like sediment. This hadn't happened overnight. This was years of quiet suffering. Sam drew his knife and sliced the rope. The boy collapsed into his arms like something shattered. He weighed almost nothing. Sam could feel his ribs through the thin fabric, each one sharp as fence wire. As he lifted the child into the saddle, the boy whispered, barely audible over the wind, "Please, don't send me back." The ride home was slow. Sam wrapped him in his duster and held him close. The boy drifted in and out of consciousness, just clung to Sam's coat with scabbed fingers like it was the only thing tethering him to life. Back at the ranch, Sam laid him near the stove, stoked the fire until the walls sweated, and brought soup, water, and blankets. The boy said nothing until long after night fell. "My name's Ben," he rasped, voice like gravel.
Sam nodded. "I'm Sam Kropka."
Ben looked around, cautious, unsure if this place was real. "Is this your house?" "Yeah," Sam said. "Ain't much, but it's mine." A pause. Then, softer, "Am I in trouble?" Sam leaned forward. "For what?" "For being here, for running." "No," Sam said, voice firm. "You didn't break in. You didn't lie. Someone tied you to a damn fence like an animal. That's not your crime. That's theirs." Ben didn't reply, just stared at the fire like it might swallow him. By morning, he could barely walk, so Sam helped him to the spare room. No questions, just tea and bandages. Sam said nothing about the scars that crisscrossed Ben's back, or how he jumped when anyone moved too fast. The way he ate in silence, like even chewing too loudly might bring punishment. That night, Ben asked, "Why'd you help me?" Sam lit his pipe, thought a long while. "Because someone should have," he finally said. "Because I remember what it's like to be left somewhere and told it's your fault." Ben looked at him then, not like a scared animal, like a boy trying to believe something for the first time. 3 days later, a man rode up the trail. Sam watched from the window. The rider was lean, well-dressed, with the kind of eyes that smiled too fast. He dismounted confidently, tied his horse like he'd done it 1,000 times, and knocked like he owned the place. Sam opened the door slow. "Morning," the man said with a smirk. "Otis Malleary. I'm looking for my nephew, Ben." Said he ran off. Poor kid's confused. Got himself lost. Sam didn't move. "What makes you think he's here?" Otis grinned. "Saw boot track. Figured he'd turn up. He's a handful. A burden. You know how boys can be." "I don't," Sam replied. Otis's smile faltered. "You sure he ain't in there?" "I'm sure you ain't family." Otis's expression hardened. "No need to make this difficult. Just give me the boy and we won't have a problem." Sam's voice dropped. "If you left him tied to my fence like a stray mutt, the problem's already here." Otis stepped forward. "You think you're doing something noble? That boy's not worth dying for." Sam didn't blink. "Take one more step and find out how wrong you are." Otis held the stare for a beat, then chuckled low. You'll regret this. And with that, he rode off. Inside, Ben stood frozen in the hallway. Sam knelt before him. You did nothing wrong. Tears welled in Ben's eyes, but he blinked them away. He's not my uncle. I know. He sold me. Said I was payment for something my mama owed after she died. Sam rose to his full height. Then he'll be back. And next time, he won't knock. That night, even the air felt different. Heavy. Silent. Boone pawed the ground nervously. Coyotes didn't howl. Sam sat on the porch with his rifle laid across his lap, eyes fixed on the dark road. Ben finally slept in the spare room, buried in warmth like it was something foreign. He said little, but Sam could sense the change. He wasn't frightened anymore. He was bracing for what came next, because men like Otis don't give up. Not for pride, not for law, for ownership. The next morning, Ben helped with chores, carried water,
Treu feed.
swept the porch with a broom so worn it was more handle than bristle. He worked fast, in silence, like someone used to being judged for how slowly he moved. Around midday, he asked, Do you think he'll come back? Sam didn't sugarcoat. Yeah.
Ben noided.
What'll you do? Sam looked him dead in the eye. What I have to. That afternoon, Sam rode into town. Said nothing. Ben didn't ask. He returned before nightfall with a crate wrapped in tarp, ammo, salt blocks, a padlock, and a small bundle wrapped in twine. Old letters. He handed them to Ben after supper. Your mama wrote these. Preacher's wife gave them to me. Said she hadn't seen her in months. Ben's hands shook as he opened the first. Sam didn't watch him read. He just stared into the fire like it had answers neither of them had found yet. 2 nights later, Sam was sharpening his knife on the porch step when he saw it. Lantern light down the valley road. Riders. 3 of them. Dust trailing behind like smoke. Ben stepped outside without a word. Sam didn't stop sharpening. You sure you want to be here for this? He asked.
Ben noided.
I'm done running. Sam stood, slid the knife back into its sheath, and handed the boy a small, worn revolver. Don't shoot unless you have to, but if you do, don't miss. Ben took it quietly. The riders arrived after midnight, 3 horses and a wagon. Otis led the way. No charm this time, just cold certainty. He wore a clean shirt, shining spurs, and a look that said he expected obedience. 2 men followed, broad and quiet, rifles strapped to their backs. The wagon behind them carried something hidden beneath a canvas. Sam didn't need to ask what it was. Otis dismounted slow. Evenin', Hayes, he said. Sam stepped off the porch. You're trespassing, Sam said. Otis didn't flinch. Just here for what's mine. He's not yours. Otis let out a sigh, like he was disappointed more than angry. You think you're saving something, Hayes, but you're not. You're breaking a system that was never meant to be broken. No older than Ben. Bound. Gagged. Eyes wide with terror.
Zamsku twisted.
Otis gestured toward him. This is what I deal in. Flesh. Labor. Names don't matter. Faces don't matter. You think you're protecting someone? For every kid you save, I get 3 more. Then, Ben stepped out onto the porch behind Sam, gun at his side, voice steady. You killed my mother. Otis looked up without a flicker of guilt. She broke her contract. That's not killing. That's business. Sam turned to Ben, then faced Otis again. He spoke one word. Run. Otis sneered. What? Sam lifted his rifle. Run. Or I'll bury you where you stand. Otis didn't move until a gunshot cracked the night. Not Sam's. Ben had fired. The bullet hit dirt inches from Otis's boot. A warning, but not a weak one. One of Otis's men panicked, backing away. I didn't sign up for this, he muttered, dropping his rifle and stumbling back. The 3rd man hesitated. Sam turned his sights toward him. That was enough. In seconds, the wagon wheeled around. The men rode off. Otis, red with fury, mounted last. He didn't threaten, didn't shout. He just rode because he knew the line had been drawn. And he'd lost. When it was over, Sam looked at Ben, who stood trembling, white-knuckled around the revolver. "You did good," Sam said gently. Ben blinked hard, fighting tears. "I thought I was going to miss." "You didn't," Sam said. "You hit what mattered." That night, Ben slept near the fire. Sam sat up, rifle across his lap. Not because he expected Otis to return, but because he knew men like him. When they lose power, they don't disappear. They stew. They wait. But Sam wasn't afraid, because the boy who once begged not to be sent back was no longer trembling in silence. He was standing bruised, but not broken. By the end of the week, word had spread. Sam could feel it. The blacksmith didn't greet him. The store clerk wouldn't meet his eyes. Even the preacher, good man, steady voice, lowered his gaze at Sunday service. People were whispering, not because Otis had returned. He hadn't. But men like Otis always left shadows in places they'd touched. Dust trails, missing names, unpaid debts. And those men had friends. Friends with stars on their vests and court orders in their coat pockets. Sam had lived long enough to know the truth. Some men buy silence. Others are handed it. Ben stayed on the ranch. He never asked to go to town. He worked hard, quietly, alongside Sam. The bruises healed. The flinching faded. But some shadows don't lift, not easily, not the ones rooted in shame. One morning, while they were repairing a section of fence, Ben said softly, "I know they're talking about me." Sam didn't look up. "They don't know you. They think I'm trouble. Dirty. Lying." Sam drove a nail in deep. "They think a lot of things. Doesn't make it true." Ben hesitated. "Do you?" That stopped Sam cold. He turned, looked the boy in the eyes. "No, but I think you've been hurt real bad. And that kind of pain can make your world real small, if you let it." Ben nodded slowly. "I don't want to stay small." That afternoon, the sheriff rode up the trail. Not fast, not angry, but alone. And that meant business. Sam met him at the gate. "Sheriff," he said flatly. "Sam." The lawman tipped his hat. "Mind if I come in?" "I'd rather you didn't." The sheriff sighed. "This isn't about you. It's about the boy. He's done nothing wrong. Didn't say he did. But I got word from Cheyenne. A man named Otis Mallery filed a complaint. Says you're harboring a minor. Claims legal guardianship." Sam snorted. Sam stepped closer. "You here to take him?" "No," the sheriff said. "I'm here to warn you. If he stays, it's going to get loud. State agents, judges, maybe men with less patience than me. I'm saying this now because I remember Cold Hollow. I know what kind of man you are. But this," he glanced toward the house, "this won't end clean." That night, Sam didn't sleep. He sat by the stove with a worn tin of tobacco and a book he never opened. Outside, wind scratched the windows like brittle fingers. Ben stepped out of his room, rubbing his eyes. "Are they coming?" Sam nodded slowly. "Probably." "Will you let them take me?" Silence stretched. Then, "No." Ben sat cross-legged on the floor. "You don't have to fight for me." Sam clenched his jaw. "Yeah, I do." "Why?" Sam leaned forward. "Because someone should have a long time ago. And because you didn't run, you stood your ground. That's what men do. So I'll do the same for you." Ben stared into the fire. "I don't remember my mom's voice. Just her eyes. Just the way she looked at me before they took her. Like she knew I'd end up alone." Sam's chest ached. He wanted to say something. Anything. Instead, he placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. And that was enough. 2 days later, a letter arrived. Official. Sealed. The state was sending an agent. 3 days. 3 days to prepare. To decide. Run. Hide. Lie. Ben sat at the kitchen table, staring at the folded paper. "If I go, you won't get hurt." Sam shook his head. "That's not how this works. You go, you vanish. Maybe not today, but one day. That's what men like Otis count on. No one watching after you're gone. Then what do? We show them something they can't ignore." On the third morning, Sam and Ben neither said much. Ben wore a clean shirt. Sam wore his old war coat. the one with brass buttons and the Medal of Honor tucked into the inside pocket. They stopped at the sheriff's office, the church, the general store, the mayor's house. At each door, Sam said the same thing. The boy's staying. If you've got a spine, help make sure he can. Most said nothing. Some walked away, but a few nodded. And that was enough. The state agent arrived by dusk. Sharp suit, badge, and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. The sheriff was there, too, arms crossed, watching. "I'm here for the boy," the agent said. "Under legal order." Sam handed him a bundle, letters, testimonies, signed statements from townsfolk. And on top, a letter from the local judge putting Otis's guardianship under investigation for criminal suspicion. The agent flipped through it. His jaw tightened. "You really want to make this hard?" Sam's smile was thin as dust. "It's only hard if justice feels like trouble." The agent stared, then finally turned to leave. "This isn't over." Sam tipped his hat. That's what the war said, too. That night, Ben sat on the porch, legs swinging, eyes on the stars. "Is it over?" he asked. Sam sat down beside him.
No.
"But it's quiet." Ben leaned against his arm. "Can I stay?" Sam didn't answer with words. He just placed a steady hand on the boy's back. And for the first time since the fence, Ben smiled. Autumn came fast to the Wyoming Valley. The grass turned gold. The wind whispered through the pines like old stories. The ranch held steady. The fences stood tall. And Sam Hayes, after all the wars, the losses, and the silence, didn't feel like something was waiting to fall apart. Ben had changed. He'd grown, not loud, but steady. He fixed things before being asked. And when he walked like someone who finally knew what home felt like. Ben had learned the land by heart, the way the west gate always stuck in the morning, where the rattlesnakes coiled during the hotter months, and how to whistle Boone in from the pasture without spooking the goats. He wasn't just healing anymore. He was transforming. One crisp morning, while mending the west fence, Ben looked up and asked, "Think I could brand a calf this spring?" Sam didn't even glance over. "You've earned it," he said. Ben grinned like the world had just started turning for him and no one else. But peace like that never held long in places like this. It didn't announce itself when it left. It vanished into silence so deep it drove birds from the trees. That silence came one dusky afternoon. Boone let out a sharp whinny. The goats scattered from the lower field. From the porch, Sam saw a figure approaching. No horse.
No dust. No greeting.
Just footsteps and shadows. It was Otis, but not the man he once was. He looked smaller now, drained of color and rage. His shirt was too clean for the boots he wore, and his eyes weren't angry anymore. They were worse, empty and desperate. Sam didn't reach for the rifle propped by the door. Not yet. He let Otis walk the long trail alone. Past the pasture, through the creaky gate and up the steps. Otis glanced around. "He here." Sam leaned into the doorframe. "You here for another lie? Or your last one?" Otis didn't smile.
No speeches.
"I came to make you a deal." He reached into his coat slowly, deliberately, and pulled out a rolled envelope. "There's a bounty coming. Not just for me. Anyone who helped the boy. The state's naming names. I'm on the list. So are you." Sam's face didn't change. "So what? Hide out together?" Otis shook his head. "No. I trade." He unrolled the envelope and laid out a collection of documents. Legal seals, guardianship papers, and a signed confession. Otis Malleary. Full admission. Trafficking. Sale of minors. Perjury. All of it. Sam didn't move. Otis stepped closer. "Give me a horse. Let me ride north. You keep these. No agents knocking. No more silver stars showing up. Ben stays. You stay." Sam studied him. "You think you get to walk away?" Otis nodded once. "I already lost everything. Only thing left is to go behind the bars myself." Then the door creaked. Ben stood there, taller than before, still lean but no longer hunched. His eyes clear, his voice steady. "You killed my mother." Otis didn't deny it. He met Ben's gaze, not with guilt, not with remorse, just that same bottomless emptiness. I killed a lot of things, kid. You're the only one who came back. Sam turned to Ben. You want justice? Ben's hands were clenched into fists. His jaw was tight. But after a long silence, he said, No, I want him gone. Sam nodded slowly, then faced Otis. You'll ride south, not north. There's a station 2 towns over. Sheriff's waiting. You hand him those papers. If you don't, he stepped in close. I'll find you, and I won't be coming to talk. More names were freed. Some were found. Some weren't. But Ben stayed. That spring, he branded his first calf. Got kicked hard in the thigh and laughed like it was the best thing that ever happened to him. By summer, he was waking before dawn, laying fence with his own pair of gloves, and telling stories to the wind like the land had finally accepted him. One evening, as thunder rolled over the distant ridge, Ben asked quietly, Did you ever think you'd be a father? Sam took a slow sip of coffee. Not like this. Not this late. Ben nodded. But you don't regret it. Sam looked over at him. Ben, you saved me. Not the other way around. How? You made me stop surviving and start living again. Ben didn't answer, but he sat a little taller after that. A year later, they finished repairs on the northern fence, the same one where Sam had first found Ben all those seasons ago. They worked side by side without speaking, just hammers, creaking wood, and the soft rush of wind across land that finally felt like home. After they were done, Ben stayed behind. He burned something into the last post with the tip of a hot nail. Sam didn't see it until later, just 4 letters, branded deep into the wood like a name or a promise.